All of you have been here for quite a while, and I think all of you, we are friendly, we're all getting along, we're a family. And I'd be curious for each one of you as Next Gen, just what are your concerns? What are your hopes, dreams, and desires for the future, for the firm and for each one of you?
So what do I think about as far as well, I mean, obviously I think, there's this kind of, to quote Spider-Man's uncle, with power comes responsibility. So I do feel a tremendous amount of responsibility to further this practice from the sense of business and to keep it, it's been here for 40 years. And that is a huge honor to be asked to help continue that. And I hope that we can continue that for another 40 years. But also the legacy of great design and an excellent camaraderie and firm culture that has been sort of become fundamental to the practice. I want to further that. As far as what I sort of personally feel responsible for, I mean, so my focus within the practice is the front end of the practice. So everything from marketing to visioning, programming, and planning. And that's really about creating and cementing client relationships. So I always focus on who we're working with and the communities that we're working with. And it's really important, I think, especially in this day and age, that we work with people who aren't, just walking in the door with a checkbook, but people whose hearts are in the right place and who are creating spaces that are going to do good in the world and benefit humanity in some capacity. So finding, the great clients that we've continued to work with this whole time and keeping that going is really important. I think in terms of reflecting that community, I think we also really need to look at the practice of architecture as a practice that has not been as inclusive or as equitable as it needs to be. Our office is not unusual in that, I think we are all very family oriented and there is a great sense of camaraderie, but there need to be more seats at the table, and not just seats, but seats of equal height. And so I think as the sole woman in this partnership, that's always been a priority for me to help pay it forward, to bring up other women and maybe other voices that might not necessarily be represented in the sort of traditional canon of architecture. So that's something that I'm interested in right now as well. And then of course, the legacy of design. If we don't have the great work, then we don't have a practice.
My interest and for the future, we have a great legacy and we have a great tradition in this office. It's quite well established. But at the same time, design field is ever evolving field. As I said, I love the nature of timelessness, but at the same time, how we can be always current and the future. So I'm conscious about what is happening to the world, design world, and overall globally, what is happening, be sensitive and think about the future and reflecting that to the future of design. Keeping the timeless character, but at the same time, achieving and being always current in the field. That is, I think that's very important.
We do have a strong legacy in the way we think. There's no signature style of this firm, so I think it's a little bit of a heavier lift and a more nuanced process to mentor staff in that kind of tradition of design. And so I think that's a big challenge of you know, how do you teach that way of thinking versus, you know, teaching how to have a signature style, which is a more straightforward path for a lot of legacy firms. I think the other big part besides the mentorship is building this New York office, which we have a small studio out here now and hope to keep expanding it and making more connections to the East Coast. The firm's always been connected to the East Coast, mostly with academic work, but also with the arts. And I think our challenge is to kind of keep that up and maybe have a dual kind of equality between offices at some point and have a large office out here too. So that's my personal challenge for the future.
I'm actually have been kind of supporting Joe and kind of thinking about just the overall office structure and how do we really support all the different disciplines, design, thinking about the diversity, thinking about looking at our unique clients, but also really staying true and honored to the start of this practice, which is in the arts related world, you know, not just kind of with the artists, but then also thinking about the patrons, thinking about the museum. So it's kind of all those different connections about how do we further build that community and give that community and that aspect to a broader audience than just the LA community, you know, thinking about the New York community, and how do we kind of further expand that beyond just us being this amazing Los Angeles, now New York architecture practice, but bringing our skills and talents to the rest of the global community, you know, maybe even not just America, but thinking about how do we, you know, bring our amazing talents and services to a broader audience and supporting that aspect. So, which I think all of us are in that boat. It's making sure also getting work is going to be, you know, that always continual challenge. So making sure that, you know, we're staying at that head of the curve, at that edge. You know, we're in an amazing spot right now that technology is really on this hyper track, and that's really, we're really feeling those effects in how we produce our services and how we provide the best service to our clients, using our tools, getting stronger at using the technology to find better efficiencies within the practice so we can focus more on the design, focus on, you know, getting projects to these tight budgets. So really looking and exploring, you know, where are new opportunities, so we're not kind of back-footed on those elements, but we're part of those initial dialogues and making sure that, you know, FF&P is placed there for the future.